This week we're creating some spooky lettering, complete with spider webs and a dangling little spider. In this tutorial, we'll create lettering with a 2-color outer glow and add extra interest with a simple animated spider. You can use any brush you'd like for this project. I'm using the Bumpy ink brush from my Font Lovers brush set, and it's the only brush I'm using for the entire piece. The color palette is free as always. Just tap on the link in the video description and you can download and install it. I'm going to start by creating a brand new canvas. I've listed my specs on screen, and let's begin. Okay, I've got my brand new canvas, and the first thing I'm going to do is write out the lettering using the darkest blue color. It's almost a black color. It's the first one on the top row, and I have my Bumpy ink brush selected. I'm going to increase its size up to about 20% and just write out the word spooky. Okay, once you have your lettering, let's move it into place. If you have uniform and snapping turned on, you'll get those crosshairs so you'll know it's perfectly centered in your canvas. And the next thing I'm going to do is add an outer glow to this. So what I'm going to do is tap on the layer thumbnail, choose select, create a brand new layer right above it, choose the darkest orange color, which is the second one, and then tap on the layer thumbnail and choose fill layer. Now we have that same lettering, only it's orange now, so we're going to send it behind the original lettering. So just drag that layer underneath the first layer, and then we're going to apply a Gaussian blur to create that outer glow. So I'm going to tap on the magic wand, choose Gaussian blur, choose layer, and then drag it up. I'm not going to go too far. Let's go to 4% here. And then what I'm going to do, just to make it a little more obvious, is tap on the layer thumbnail, choose select, and with the orange still selected over here as your color, come back to the layer, tap on the layer thumbnail and choose fill layer. And you can see that that darkens it up by filling it. And I'm just going to do this 2 more times. So tap on the layer thumbnail, select, come back to the layer, tap on the layer thumbnail, fill layer. 1 more time. And now we've got a much darker glow right here. So now we can apply that dark background and we'll be able to see everything a little bit better. Come to the background and choose that dark color, and you can see this glow is really popping now. It feels a little dense to me, so I'm just going to apply a little bit more glow to this. So come back to the magic wand, make sure you're still on your orange layer, magic wand, Gaussian blur, layer, and then just drag this up just a little bit more. I'm coming up to 3.7%, and that gives me that really nice glow that I'm looking for. So I want to add one more glow so it looks more intense near the letters, and then it kind of fades out as it goes beyond the letters. So we're going to do the exact same thing, only with a brighter color now. So come to your original lettering, which is this dark lettering up at the top, tap on the layer thumbnail, select, create a brand new layer right above it, tap on the color, choose the lightest color, so it's the third one on the top, come back to your layers, tap on the layer thumbnail and choose fill layer. So now we have another layer of color, and we're going to drag this one underneath the dark lettering but above the orange lettering. So drag that right between those 2 layers, and now we're going to apply a very slight Gaussian blur to this one. Tap on the magic wand, Gaussian blur, layer, and we're going to drag this one up only about 2.5% here. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. So tap on the layer thumbnail, select, tap on the layer thumbnail, fill layer. And this one, I don't think we have to do it more than once. That feels pretty good to me. You can see the difference it makes just by turning this layer on and off. So just check it and uncheck it, and you can see the massive difference that makes by having that extra color in there. So that just makes everything pop a lot more. Now that we have our lettering all taken care of, we can start adding in our details. So I'm going to create a brand new layer and drag it underneath the orange layer, so it's right above the background layer, and we're going to draw in our spider webs now. And I'm going to keep them the same light yellow color, but I'm going to reduce my brush size way down to about 4%. I'm going to make a swooping line down to basically right between my 2 O's. I'm going to add another one on right here, and then add 3 in between these 2, making sure that they connect to a letter at the bottom. And then to connect these and make it look like a spider web, just add in little U's. And as it comes down, they're going to get further apart from the previous line of U's. Okay, we've got our first spider web in there, and let's add one more between the O and the K. So I'm just going to have this one come and extend down here, and then add a few more lines. Same thing with the little U's in here. I need to put the spider on a new layer. So I'm going to create a brand new layer up at the very top. I'm going to bring my brush size down to 2%. I'm going to draw a little line coming off the bottom of the K. I'm going to give him a little body, little legs, and a little head. So now we need to animate it. You could call this completely done at this point if you just want a still shot. If you'd like to animate your spider, that's what we're going to do now. And if you are new to animation, I'd encourage you to check out my free Procreate 5X for Beginners course. I have an entire module on animation basics in Procreate. So if anything seems unfamiliar here, check that out and you'll be good to go. What I first need to do is merge all of these layers together. I'm a stickler for making sure that you still have your layers separate somewhere. So what I'm going to do is group all of these together and then make a copy of them. And that way I have a copy. If I ever need to come back to it and change it at all, I still have all of my layers. So I'm going to uncheck the visibility of this top layer. Now with this bottom one, I need all of my layers merged except for my spider. The spider needs to stay separate. So I'm going to tap on the spider layer and drag it above my group and underneath my other group. So with this group, I'm going to collapse it and then merge it. So tap on the layer thumbnail and choose flatten. Now I have all of this on one layer and I've got my spider on its own layer. Now I need to group these two together. So drag it over to the right and choose group. Now this will be considered one frame since it's a group and the visibility is turned on. This visibility is not turned on, so it's not considered a part of this animation at all. So if you don't care about keeping your layers, you could just delete this if you want. Otherwise, it's just going to hang out on its own and not be visible at all with our animation. So now let's go and begin our animation. So come over to the wrench, choose Canvas, Animation Assist toggled on. Down here, you can see we've got our one frame, which is what's visible right now on our canvas. And we're going to change our settings over here. I'm going to reduce my frames per second to start down to about 8. And that'll just make it a lot easier for us to preview it as we move along. And the onion skin opacity, I don't like having it quite so high because it can get a little confusing as you work. So I'm going to bring this one down to 30%. Everything else looks good. I struggled with trying to decide if I'd like the animation more as a loop or a ping pong, so you can choose either one of these and it'll still turn out great. So let's keep it at ping pong right now and we'll see how it looks as we move along. The first thing we're going to do is duplicate this group, so slide it over to the left, hit duplicate, toggle this down, select your spider layer, we'll zoom in here, and I'm just going to select it and move it down a little bit. So moving it down, deselect. And you will see a remnant. Here's that 30% onion opacity, which is what we changed right here. If it's too light, you can definitely bring it up a little bit. Let's see what 40% looks like. I want you to be able to see this on screen as I'm working, so I'm bringing it up a little higher than I usually have it. So I brought it down a little bit, and now I can complete it. So with this spider layer selected, I'm just going to draw in the rest of his web line right there onto the K. Now I'm going to toggle this up, duplicate it on the new group, toggle this down, select the spider, drag the spider down a little bit more, and you can keep track of how far apart they are. So you can move in equal increments if you'd like, or you can make it move a little faster as he gets lower, as gravity's pulling him even more. So that part's totally up to you how you'd like your animation to progress. So he's in place. I'm going to extend his web back up. Same process. So you're just going to keep repeating this. And this is what's going to animate our spider moving down. So I'm keeping him in as straight of a line as I can. And I'm going to do one more of these so then we can preview it and you can see the effect that it has. Let's preview this animation now. It's going to move pretty fast since we don't have a lot of frames, but at least you'll be able to see what's happening. And it's ping-ponging, so it's going to come down and go back up. So I'll hit play and you can see there's our little spider. If you wanted it to loop, you can see the difference right here, how it just begins again instead of going very seamlessly back and forth. So ping pong kind of works a little better right here for this example. Okay, I'm going to hit pause. You can make sure that your last frame that you just ended on is selected just down here in the Animation Assist palette. Just tap on that last frame and then you're good to go. And you can continue on, duplicate, toggle this down, choose your spider, drag him down and complete his web. I've decided to stop my spider short of hitting the very bottom of the canvas. So I'd consider my animation complete at this point. So I can just hit play and we can preview it. And you can see there he goes. If you want to speed him up, you're just going to increase the frames per second, but you need to make sure that your animation is at least 3 seconds long if you choose to post this on Instagram. Otherwise, it's just going to be a still image. So in this case, you need a lot of frames to make that happen. If you have the loop with the ping pong, you get some bonus frames basically because it's going back and forth. But I don't like it going that fast personally because spiders are spooky and they're creepy crawly and they kind of surprise you. So I think it works a lot better as a little bit of a slower animation. Actually, I think 8 is probably fine here. So I'm going to leave that at 8, and now you can just export it. So you're going to hit your wrench up here, choose share, and down here you'll choose animated MP4, and then you can preview it again. You can still adjust the frames per seconds here if you change your mind, so you don't have to go back to the animation palette, and then you can export it. I save it to my camera roll, and then I send it to myself, and then I can upload it to Instagram from there. If you enjoyed this tutorial, hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you next week.